Okay, it is 1:01. Let's just start the meeting and accept the agenda as it's been written. And I'm going to read the announcement. Find it. Here it is. Okay, this is Nikki Rowland, Chair of the Historic Structures Advisory Board. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons who anticipate on the agenda are present can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Lucy?
Yes.
Brooke?
Yes.
And so far, Angus and Jason are absent and no staff. This open meeting of the HSAB is being conducted pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021. For this meeting, HSAB is convening by video conference via Zoom app as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Participants may find information on the conduct of this meeting at that location. Please note this meeting is being recorded and all votes taken will be by roll call. All right, I'm gonna really want to get Angus in on as many of these as possible.
I just let him in.
Oh, good. Angus is joining us at 1:02 as we start. Hi, Angus.
Hey, how are you guys?
Good. So I'm going to start, and I'm going to, I know Linda's going to want to, there's no point in starting without Linda. We'll just have to redo it when she arrives.
Well, if we're on a time crunch because of Brooke, I mean, I think that we shouldn't be catering to someone who knows the.
No, I'll give her 5 or 10 minutes, but you know, as soon as she joins us, she's going to rehash everything. So
Right, but she's on the first one. She should be here.
I agree.
Yeah.
But totally agree. So let's go down to 12 Academy Lane. Let's see if I can find it. Where is it?
It's numbered, the second one. Oh, first and second one under documents.
Yeah, I'm just looking. It's complicated on your screen when there's all
But
these.
there's, okay.
Yeah, okay. What's this doing there? Okay, so this is Main Street. And this is Academy, 12 Academy. All right, here's Linda. All right, let's start with Linda's, which will be 126 Main Street. All right.
Mickey, I'm here.
I know. So we're going to start with 126 Main. So why don't you go ahead? I've got.
That's the scan.
I'm going to switch screens
Okay.
because I have Esmeralda just got me the.
Scan.
Where is it? Where is it? Here it is. All right, you see that?
Yep.
Yeah, it was hard to get it so it would show up really heavily on Zoom because the red lines are so light. But you can sort of see them. We have an existing house. I've done all the documentation. It's all in there. There was a 1996 addition, that porch on the right, that big addition on the right in the back that covers the back and the side of the structure. We want to take that off. I've given you interior pictures of it and put on a new side addition, smaller and smaller in the rear, and rebuild the porch. Put TDL wood windows in the front with panels and take out the mishmash of windows in the house and put in wood double glazed windows on the rest of the house. A majority of the windows in the house are new windows, not the original windows. There are very few original windows, very little wavy glass in the house, which I was surprised. Windows, there are some weight and balances. There's some other pressure windows. There's this, that, and the other thing. Some are missing sashes completely. So we want to do what we've done elsewhere and put the true divided lights in the front with their panels or no plank frames left, and put double glazed wood windows with no storms on the sides and the rear, particularly the addition, since the addition was built in 1996. I even found a sign in the wall from Brasco. Great, lovely windows. You know, they don't last very long anyway. And rehab the house, pick it up, move it over 2 feet so it's not sitting on that driveway on the left, which it literally is. The driveway is the building. Move the building up 2 feet to the right, put a new foundation under it. The front is brick now. Part of the left side is brick. The whole rear addition is cinder block, and reuse the rubble on the sides like we just did with Beaver Street, if you would like us to do that. That's pretty much it. Rehab the building, put a roof walk up there like a lot of the houses up there, and go from there. I've given you the history that I could find. We did talk to a great granddaughter of the people that owned it in the early 1800s, and she sold it in 2020 to a guy that owns One Bloom, which you've seen before, and he didn't do anything with it, and nothing had been done with it for many years. And she gave me the history, and he gave me what he had, and then I dug up what I had. Then I went to MPT. So everything we could find is pretty much in the record here, including the survey forms. And rehab it and put it back, basically.
Okay. All right. So, let's first get off our discussion list, the move. You want to pick it up and move it over 2 feet.
Yeah. So it's not the
curious.
driveway.
I'm curious. And hey, Linda.
Yep.
I'm going to ask you ahead of time to please try not to interrupt us while we're speaking.
Yep. I'm just looking for a pen at the moment.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to talk about the move. So I'd like to hear from the board members how they feel about moving this over 2 feet to the west. I'll get the site plan.
Is that all we're going to talk about first, is the move?
Just the move right now.
Okay, and you guys understand the house moved in there from someplace, but that's all we know.
Okay, so from now on, Linda, I'd like to hear from the board members, and then we'll ask you when we have questions.
Okay.
Thank you. Guys, ladies.
Mickey, who is on? So I can't see everybody. So I got to mark it down. Who's
It's
on?
Angus, Brooke, and Lucy. Jason's not here.
Okay, Angus.
So Brooke, did you want to say something?
No, I don't have an issue moving it just 2 feet. I mean, that's a pretty minor move.
Lucy?
I don't have an issue with that either.
Angus?
Yeah, I'm not sure when the original move was to where it's located, but if it's a historic foundation, I'm concerned about a move of any distance. In the streetscape, it might not matter that much moving 2 feet, but it means dismantling an existing, for all I know, historic foundation, and the location where this has been since it's been on the lot.
So the literature described this as being one of the original Sherburne houses, so it would have moved in the 1700s, I'm guessing.
And that's probably when the rubble foundation is from.
Exactly. Now, they're also, even if they don't move it, I'm sure they're going to want to have a whole new basement and replace the basement regardless. So we can also discuss that. It's kind of it's related to this, of course. If you move it, you're obviously doing a new foundation, but they're going to want it anyway. And I can see they're putting in they're subdividing the property, it looks like, and putting in a right-of-way access to the back property along the driveway. So that's probably also part of the reason for the move, but wouldn't necessarily think required So sounds like, repeat your concerns again, Angus, so that we know sort of what you're thinking.
Well, this isn't just about looks, it's about the responsibility of maintaining as much historical integrity of our historic landmark as we can. And when we have a situation like this, where we have a historic house on a historic foundation, we are eroding the historical integrity of that when we remove it, any part of it. And generally what's acceptable is to add on to, but not remove. And I'm afraid we're losing sight of that, and a lot of history is being removed. I did notice the comments about the rubble foundation being repurposed on site, but that's that's not an existing foundation in its existing location, even if the materials were reused. So I'm not sure what the motivations are. As you've pointed out, it looks like the development of the back of this is it could be part of the motivation in making a wider easement to get by the house. So I feel like if a basement is desired, that there's an opportunity to have that in the new area of the house. But there are many ways to make use of the existing foundation and still have a basement. That there are practices to make that possible.
Let me ask Linda if there is, what the structural integrity of the existing foundation is. Linda, do you have any information on that?
I have pictures of it. I didn't put them in the packet because the packet was like 60 pages long, but it's not stable. It's a conglomeration of stuff on the side walls. The front wall is brick halfway up. There's a lot of them are. The street profile is brick, but underneath it is rubble. So it's not necessarily that secure, and it's very low ceiling. I can just stand there and touch the pipes and everything else with my hand because I'm short. So they do want to, if they're going to pick it up and put a new foundation underneath it, they want to move it away from the driveway. This has already been subdivided and separated. And they wanted to give a little bit more space from the cars coming up to that rear lot, because that right-hand side there, if you're looking at this, left-hand if you're in the street, isn't part of this lot anymore. And these are both almost 5,000 square foot lots. It was a very unusual lot. And they wanted to get it away from the driveway and away from their easement. So if they had to repair things or put, reshingle it and stuff, they can sort of try to get it on their own property. So that's why if they're going to pick it up, they wanted to move it over 2 feet so it was away from that driveway, because literally the edge of the driveway is the foundation. So that's why they wanted to do it. And we picked up and moved structures all over town. It's never going to meet the setback, but we moved structures everywhere and picked up structures all over town and put new foundations underneath them. We just have an opportunity at this point to actually move it off the driveway. So that was the impetus here.
It's sounding a little like moving it is not required. I mean, you can't, moving it shouldn't be required for the subdivision. It looks from here like it could stay. But it also doesn't sound like the existing foundation is imminently collapsing and going to endanger the building either. So I'm not sure I'm hearing that it's for the safety of the building, it needs a new foundation. In other words,
No, I'm not making that claim because I haven't had an engineer down there yet, but I know we want to put a new foundation underneath it. We're asking to put a foundation underneath it. We're asking to put the brick back on the front, and we're asking we can reuse the rubble on the sides. That's not a problem, because if we can get it off intact, and not all the foundation is rubble. It's brick around the corner. Obviously, once you get over to the left side, if you're looking at the site plan, it's not brick and it's not rubble. Was all redone when they did that back piece. So I mean, I've got probably 4 different materials on this foundation. Some of it's painted, as you can see in the pictures, some of it's not, wasn't painted because it wasn't on that driveway side, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It didn't have to be moved in order to affect the back lot because it's under a 4181L. Obviously, everything's grandfathered at that point. But we would like to pick it up, put a new foundation underneath it and move it over and then put the stuff back on the outside. And that is what's done all over town, has been approved all over town. We just figure since we have it up in the air for that, we might as well move it over 2 feet and get it away from that driveway.
Okay. I think it's worth noting that as Angus pointed out, this work could be done. You're doing a whole new addition to the rear. The new foundation, new basement space could be provided in the rear and still retain the front portion of the building. I mean, is there an antique, original chimney mass inside this building that is also obviously going to get removed?
Yes, but that's beyond your scope. My concern was that they took the chimney off the roof, and we need to actually have a conversation about that.
Yes, that'll come up. Okay, so I have some consensus, more or less, or at least some heard from the board about the move. So let's talk about the addition, which is not completely affecting the front of the building except for the roof walk and the loss of the chimney.
Yeah.
Linda, can you tell us about the windows? Are they literally replacing every window in the house?
Yes.
Now, it sounds like some of these windows, it sounds like most of the windows are new, which is fine. But there are some windows, as you pointed out, about some having wavy glass, not many, but some.
And only some panes, so.
Can you identify which windows are the original windows?
From looking at the windows now that we've got all the wallboard off, I don't know if I have any originals left at all, because they certainly wouldn't be in the shape that some of them are in now. Some were added, some were taken out by previous, over time. I think the only ones that would be relevant would be the ones in the front, and some of them don't match the others. So it's over time, they have just put windows in. I can't account for it. But I don't see any original sashes and I don't see any original frames. So somewhere along the line, people have improved the house, because also in the house, when you go through it, now that we can see the floors, is I've got multiple different kinds of wood in the floors. I got new wood, I got old wood, I got new rafters holding up the second floor system. I've got a whole new frame on the roof because I guess it was sort of not in good shape when they put that addition on the side. So I have got new wood all over the house. I've got sistered wood, I've got new studs, I've got new framing on the floors. They've kept it going, literally kept it going for 300 years. And now we just want to sister into it and put it back together. And we're saving all the floors. All the floors are coming out and going into a container. All the pieces that are coming off that are old pieces are going into a container, and they're all getting sprayed and put back in the building, because we did that at 65.
Hey, Linda, we're going to be short for time, so I want to stick to the relevant issues here.
Well, I would say that the front, going back to TDLs, wood with panels, whether they're on the outside or the inside, is what we're after. And then SDLs on the sides, since a lot of that has already been changed over time. Certainly the new addition.
I think it would be worth everybody's time if we had a real sort of cataloged window survey to identify the age of the specific windows, because it sounds like there's going to be a mix. And I think they would be helpful to know which ones are original and which ones are not.
Well, the scan tells you, the scan that I had, Anton's doing all my historic structures now. I'm not touching historic structures without scans. Anton has done, he did a window survey. So we know what the openings are. We know what the types of windows in them are. I couldn't tell you if that front left window was older than on the side.
Somebody can. So let's have that work done if we can. At least we're going to ask for it, because we need to know, we would like to know which of the original windows are still in place. So let's talk next about the additions. The front isn't changing a lot. Here's the side facing to the east.
Is that east? Yeah.
Does anybody have any, specific concerns about the new massing that's being proposed? The main roofs.
Everything off the back, by the way, Mickey, just to make so you know what you're looking at. Everything other than the box of the building has been added and taken off at least 2 or 3 times.
Okay, so it's all new. It's all the whatever's being removed is supposedly relatively new. So we're just looking at the new work, not so concerned about the demolition. Anybody have any concerns about massing?
No, I have concerns about the proposed foundation though.
All right, tell me, Lucy, what are your concerns?
First of all, that I don't think that, well, I'd like a better explanation as to what the new foundation entails. To the left of the building, as you look at it on Main Street, is one of those basement access doors. And as we know, we're losing those. We had a discussion last week about one of those. That I just don't know what's going on with the foundation. It's not explicit. And what about the front stoop, the configuration? There's a sort of a brickwork and steps to the street at the end of the wooden steps into the house. We don't know if there's going to be windows into the basement. And also, as far as the foundation goes for the new addition or any changes, because of the age of this house, even regardless if it has an addition at the back, I think there should not be any concrete visible, even if it's painted gray.
You want it faced, Lucy, the whole thing faced?
Faced, yes.
Okay.
With brick, I assume you're talking about.
Well, I'm
Or
not just,
rubble.
yeah.
Or
rubble.
Oh, yeah, we're not leaving any poured concrete showing anywhere on this structure, period.
Well, it didn't, the application did not seem to indicate that. It said something about painted gray.
Well, and whatever's going, because the front is painted now and the left side is painted. Some of the rubble on the right is not painted. We figured we'd just go back and paint it the gray that it is now. The front is
Wow.
already gray.
Okay, and then Mickey, I do have another question about the main mass.
Sure,
Yes, it appears that the chimney is being taken off.
yes.
There's a roof walk being put on. As we all know, that purpose of the roof walk was to check the chimneys. So it sort of, defeats the purpose of having a roof walk if you're taking off the chimney. And I must say that we're seeing a lot of these chimneys disappear. And it's sad. I mean, what are we all going to think in 10 years when there are so few of them left? And I just think the HSAB and HDC are being irresponsible if we allow this to continue at the rate that it's going.
I agree. And I said that to them at the beginning.
Linda,
So-
you're not asked to speak now.
Well, hey, I think that we all do agree with that, Lucy, that, hey, Linda, have they already removed the interior chimney stack? Is it already gone?
No, it's still there. We're bracing around it because we want to make sure that the beams that are not actually touching anything right now are going to be braced when we take it out. I don't want it to implode because I've had that happen before. So we're being very, very careful about that. But I have told them, I said, look, we need to maintain a chimney up there. Even if it's not working, we need to maintain a chimney because a house of this age would have a chimney. And it wouldn't just have a roof walk. As Lucy said, those hatches would fight chimney fires. So I will take care of the chimney.
Well,
Well,
yeah, it's circled in red now.
So-
Yeah. Oh,
So-
what is that?
So, the chimney stack on these old houses, these old chimneys is probably the most valuable piece of artifact within the building. Irreplaceable. It'll never be, once you take it down, it'll never come back. And I wish that these owners would understand that they're removing, such an important part of the history of this house when they do that. But we don't have access to that, to them. Linda, you probably do. I'm not sure what their motivation is for buying this. Sounds like Jim Icard is doing this throughout town.
No, he doesn't own it. He sold it.
Okay, good, I guess. But whoever the new owner is, I think it's worth having the conversation to let them know that well, you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I know.
Keep the
it's a shame to
chimney,
lose this.
period.
I got
It's
it.
what makes this house what it is. I mean, why did he buy it if he didn't want this chimney stack? So,
Space, no space.
Well,
Hello. Hello,
yes.
it's me, Mickey.
Oh, hi, Diane.
Hi. I just want to say if this is the house that came in front of us, and it's one of my things, I just want you to know that I always object to the chimney being moved, as does Abby Camp. So
Okay.
it is important to at least 2 out of the 5 on the HDC. It is not just the whole HDC. So.
Good. Well, that's valuable because that's really, of course, what we want to hear now. Can they remove the interior chimney fireplaces and still keep the chimney? Of course, that's not our goal here, but that's a different question, I guess.
Yeah, they usually, Mickey, they usually take them down and then they reconstruct them. So they have some weight underneath them.
Yes.
I have my house, which is a 3-bay, has a center chimney with 8 flues in it, 8 fireplaces. And it comes down to quite a foundation at the basement level. It comes to a pretty good foundation under the chimney before it starts down. And it's an important part of maintaining the interior as it was built. So I think they're absolutely necessary to remain.
Well, we couldn't agree more. I'm gonna try to hurry this along a little bit because I know Brooke has to leave it too, and I want to also cover 31 Easy Street before he leaves. So I've made a couple of other sort of fine point notes, and to show those, I gotta go to the other screen, which I think is here.
Can I address Lucy's comments about the windows in the basement? I think we have 2 in the front now. And I think they're taking those out when they move it over.
Yes.
And we have 1 on the side, which was probably the coal chute, but there was a window put in there already.
no, there's a double door on the left-hand side.
We
I
still
have a
have the double-
photograph that I took this morning.
Well, it might be valuable to be able to reuse those windows are probably pretty old and we're losing them. Why not put them back into the foundation? That's not that difficult to do. So let's try to keep those,
The front ones, Mickey?
the front ones and that side one, as Lucy points out, it is a character defining part of these houses, which we're definitely losing. So
Yeah,
I've
there's
got a practical reason to keep the windows that's not related to anything that has been said
well,
at all. And
Tell
that
me.
is that the lead time for windows right now is extraordinary. So it's cheaper, literally cheaper right now to rebuild old windows.
Yep.
I'm just gonna say that you'll wait forever right now.
Yeah, we know.
Good.
Okay, just
All right,
Vicky?
so I'm gonna also add that on the east elevation,
East, okay.
which is right here, this window is a smaller window, and that should be the same size as all the other A windows, in my opinion. And on the west side,
Yeah, stay there for a second, Mickey. Go back to the east so I can get a clear picture of what we're doing here.
this is the center window in the east mainmast.
I think it's the same size as the one above it.
It is, but that's not the point. It should be the same size as the ones beside it.
Okay, so that's the B center east.
It's D. but I think it's D. Maybe it's B. I think it's D.
It's
No,
B.
it's B.
Oh, it's B,
Okay,
same size as the ones in the addition behind it.
that's fine. So over on the other side, they're proposing to put in a 15 light door that should be a 12 light with a kick panel.
The kick panel, yeah.
And this window is a new window. It's just in a long corridor. It doesn't necessarily need to be there, and it's kind of disrupts the balance of the window pattern on that side of the building. I think it should be eliminated.
Hang on a second. The
And
center window on the west.
it's the left window on the first floor on the west,
Oh, the first floor.
first floor left. Now, this window, I didn't notice this. Are these all this? Is this a smaller window too? I can't tell.
Yes,
Same size.
those
So
are all
that's-
Bs.
And they're all new. They should probably all be the same as the first, they should all be the same window, especially if they are in the front.
Well, they can't be if you've got the porch going back on, which is already there. Because you can't have a window pan.
Okay. You might
I
accept
don't
that
want to,
one.
I don't want to start messing around with header heights in there that are different than what's already
Yeah,
there.
these are sitting on the porch. Okay, so we'll skip
Yeah.
that one. So the
So
only
does
other
the
things I
first
want to
floor
add are
left?
that the chimney should remain and that the roof walk needs to be proven that there was a roof walk on this building. We do that for every old house. And if it does get approved, that it should not have a skirt for a building of this age and character.
Okay,
Okay.
and on the east elevation, Mickey,
Yeah,
East, yep.
the existing drawing is wrong. They have a window there where the two little scuttle doors would have been, right there. There's
Yeah,
double,
that's what I'm saying.
there are
yep, I
double
see.
doors right there, and those should maintain. And to the right of that is the meter box, which should be boxed in.
okay.
Well, that's gonna move anyway, Lucy, when we pick it up and move it. So I
Okay.
expect they'll relocate it. I'll make them relocate it.
Yeah, no one
Okay.
should see that junk.
All right. I hate to hurry this along, but I really do want to get to 31 Easy Street.
Okay, I've got some
Uh,
ideas. Okay.
Does anybody else on the board want to add something to this conversation about this one?
I do.
Go ahead, Angus.
The street facing elevation, I would imagine it's the north elevation.
Yeah.
Yep.
That flush dormer is inappropriate on a house on Main Street. So I know that's set back, but that just, it just doesn't fit with the architecture that's existing.
I agree.
Yep, I agree.
It looks kind of squatty and out of place.
Looks out of town.
Okay.
Okay, anything else, Angus?
No, I would just second everything about what's been said, but also most especially about the window survey. There might not be a single window that was that's in there from when it was originally built in Sherburne, but if a newer window is 200 years old or 100 years old or 80 years old, it should be kept.
Yeah. I'm now going to try to find 31 Easy, which isn't going to be easy. Here we go. Here's part of it.
Nikki, I don't have the agenda up in front of me when I have Zoom on. Am I still on there for 34B? Is that coming up next after 31?
34B, yes. No. 34B what?
34B Walsh?
That's not on.
I don't think it's on our agenda. Didn't we do that last week?
Yeah,
Well, we've got
Not
visions that came in last week for you to look at today.
9 Twin Street is.
All right.
Yeah.
I don't have the thing up in front of me.
All right, we're now looking at 31 Easy Street. We all know this building and knew it was coming eventually.
Yep.
So,
Want me to give you the brief rundown?
yeah, go ahead. Try to make it quick, though. We don't have a
Yeah,
lot of
I
time.
gave you, you've got 60 pages in here of this thing. It's not the original structure that was used for the train. Didn't probably appear until 1905. It was a warehouse. And then when they took down the trestle thing, which was 4 posts and a hip roof, to the right of where this is located. And they started rerouting the train. They made that into the waiting room for the passengers for the train, and then the train died in 1918. So then it just sort of defunct for a couple of years, and then he bought it. Sarg bought it and turned it into his gallery and added that right-hand piece, added the dormer, added the chimney, fooled around with the front, put some new openings in it, then put glass in it. And over time, as you know, they've had additions all over the place in this building. And the only part that I can find that might be original framing is the over the front door for about half that gable. Because when you crawl up into the roof, you can see the new structure. And you can see where they put some of these additions right over the top of a portion of the old roof. They just never took stuff off. But all the walls have been changed radically. And it's just being pummeled by weather and by flooding and by everything else. So I did a whole dissertation on every single side of this thing. And it can't be moved, guys. I had the engineer in there and it's not going to move anywhere. And where are you going to put it, frankly? And they would like to demolish it. As you know, the town is going after it by eminent domain, a town meeting. And they would like to demolish it for a lot of public reasons, none of which are private reasons, but public reasons. And there you go. If it was still intact, if it still had any of the integrity on the inside, I'd say, yeah, great. But when you go inside the building, and I've given you pictures of the inside of the building of what it used to look like and what it looks like now, they've blown out the east wall, they've blown out the west wall, they've blown out the back wall. They've taken walls down that were ever there at one point, and the whole thing is pretty open all the way to the rafters. Now those rafters in the back are not old, it's all milled wood. So there's not a wall. If you had to take pieces off of it to move it, you'd have a roof pretty much, and not all the roof. So I pretty much documented the heck out of this thing. It took me 7 hours to go through all the pictures at NHA, one street by one street, and all the aerials. So it is, and that's what they'd like to do, is get a demo permit for it because it can't move someplace.
Okay, we get that. We kind of understand where you're going with this.
Yeah.
I'm going to just start out just by saying what I have written down here, and then we can all sort of add and change that. The original rectangular structure appears to have been built around 1908 or so. Historically significant uses included a train depot and location for artist Tony Sarg's studio and shop. The Nantucket Railroad was an important and fascinating part of our island history, and likewise, Tony Sarg was a world-renowned artist and puppeteer. Later additions of less significance were added, but the original rectangular gable structure still remains. The HTC's Enabling Act includes the phrase preservation and protection of historic buildings. The original structure is unquestionably an historic building. It is labeled as contributing and is individually significant and should therefore be preserved and protected by the HTC. The later additions could be removed while salvaging and restoring the main body. This section will not interfere with the road and sidewalk widening and could be repurposed for countless other uses, perhaps to showcase the history of the railroad or the works of Tony Sarg. HSAB suggests that the main building should be restored and the later additions can be removed. The HDC should request that the town explore alternatives to a full demolition. So I know what you're saying, Linda, there's not a lot left of the historic structure of the building, but just the fact that that building in some pieces still remains is still a part of the island's important history. And I think it's worth exploring maintaining it. So board members, any thoughts? Lucy?
Mickey, I think you said it very well. I would like to add too that it's important because of Tony Sarg. I mean, he's one of, though not an islander per se, but he's a very important figure in the arts of Nantucket.
Yep. Couldn't agree more. Brooke?
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I couldn't have said it better. And, removing those additions will create plenty of swing room for a truck to get through there.
Yeah. I kind of think so too. It just, I mean, if you look at the footprint.
Yeah. And I think that the building could probably shift backwards if it had to. I mean,
Oh, there's an easement back there for the guy Judson on the right.
right. But if you remove all the rear additions, which I don't think are original,
No,
and you shift that building backward by that amount, you'll still leave plenty of room for Judd.
Yeah, I mean, with bracing, I mean, they brace buildings all the time.
Yeah.
You know,
Anyway, so I think Mickey's idea of doing something like that, it definitely deserves further consideration.
Thanks, Brooke. Angus?
I agree with your original statement. It's a critical and unique part of the island's history. And wouldn't it be great to have a structure that goes back to looking more like this? It would, I think that would mean a lot.
That'd be really cool.
yeah,
understand that if the walls, if those, all those additions came off, there are no walls, period.
Yeah,
Yep.
Not one
you'd
wall.
have to
is
build
left.
new ones.
I think the front door is still in its original location.
That's it. Actually, I don't think so, but that's it. I think there
And
was
with-
some moving around of that door.
If we could somehow make use of all the historic material that's getting hauled out of Nantucket, I'm sure there'd be plenty of material to be able to build those walls with old material.
Mhm.
Okay, and not left in this building, just so you know. There's nothing old left in this building. The floors have been changed, there's 5 different levels of floors. All of it's out of there because somehow they put a roof on that went over the other one, and the other one has very little roof left in it. So the only piece left is this piece of this front wall where they didn't bang out something on the left or put another window in. It's glass all the way around it. So, you know, I don't think that anybody's going to spend any time taking off that entire half the building with nothing left of it. What are you going to put it on? You got the dormers that were banged into it.
Linda,
did-
we're-
All we're asking is for consideration. This is not a debate.
we
Okay,
know it would
consideration,
require
maybe.
quite a lot of rebuilding, but it's just it's an artifact. It's still there, and I think it's worth preserving. So
yeah,
Um,
I'd like to add too that, you know, with all these old houses that are being gutted now, is the same thing going to be said down the road? That, you know, oh, if you won't be able to move it, you won't be able to do this because all that will be left will be the exterior walls. I mean,
Yeah.
There are no exterior walls in this case, so it's weird. It's just weird the way they did this building bad. Let's put it that way. If we were to take everything off this building, there's nothing there. But if we were to take everything off this building and try to repurpose this building, take that whole right-hand piece of junk off of it and repurpose what's left, the box, you'd have half a roof standing there with supports, but beyond that, it would have to be, if the public is going to be in that building, and you can't tag it to an individual, if that's not allowed, if the public is going to be in that building, we're going to have to, it's in the velocity zone, we're going to have to pick it up, raise it up, and then try to figure out how handicap accessibility is going to get in there. So there's a lot of logistical issues with this structure in that location, unfortunately, in that location.
no
okay,
question. We all know that. But it's worth pursuing. I think we owe it to the history of the island to look into these things and to not just willy-nilly start tearing buildings down because they're in our way.
Well, that's why I did a full scan. I had Anton in there who did a full scan of the building. So you had what's there right now. Anton has a full scan of it.
Yeah, and it's fascinating, but
Love
you
this
know,
stuff.
it doesn't change anything. Okay, anything else to add regarding this application?
No.
Not seeing much. Okay, great.
Thank you for this presentation though, Linda. This is really thorough.
Yeah, the scans are fascinating and the history is good to see too. So it's helpful.
Well,
Appreciate
I
it.
don't do another historic structure or contributing structure without a scan. I make the owners do it because who knows what happens later on or inside. I want to make sure we have a record of whatever has happened.
Yeah, it's good to have. Hey, so moving on to the next one. Brooke, I know you're leaving pretty soon. Is there anything in particular that you'd like to cover? Do you care?
Boy,
All of it.
Yeah. Can we go to Twin Street and get Linda out of the way?
Yeah,
I can find it.
Is that the only one I have left on there, Mickey?
I think so.
Or you don't have 34 Walsh?
No.
that was last week.
No, we put revisions in after that.
Well,
Well, it's not on our agenda.
Okay, I'll put it back on next week.
That's gonna take a minute. There's so many of these. Telling me when you see
Definitely.
this. No,
Definitely not me.
how about that one? Yeah,
That's right.
yeah, okay. All right,
Go back to the front page of this thing, or not the front page, but that one, the site plan. Yeah, here we go. Because it was so close to the street, there is a 0 setback. Everybody on the street's at 0, but because there is a 0 setback and we're putting a new foundation in here, this is a new structure, just so you know. There's nothing there. That structure is going away, already approved. It was too close to the street for safety's sake. So we had to move it back from the street 3 feet. So it has shifted back on the lot 3 feet off the street. So it's not at 0 setback like both sides of us. Also, there was a logistical issue. 100, dozens and dozens, tens of thousands of dollars to go down as deep as they needed to go down to get a bedroom for the kids. So they had to pull it up, be above the code requirement of a foundation that doesn't need metal supports everywhere. So I don't know how I can explain it any better. So that it had to come up a couple of feet.
Yeah.
And it's the same height as everybody around it. So I've given you 1,000 pictures of all the houses around it that are already up out of the ground, oddly, in this neighborhood. So we moved it back 3 feet and up a couple of feet in order to get the foundation up out of the where it was located before, below grade.
okay. Thanks, Linda. Thoughts from I know you've included a bunch of pictures of buildings in the area that are raised up on high foundations. I'll just say quickly, my thinking on this is that I don't mind raising this building a little bit. I think 4 feet is excessive. Maybe 2 feet would be adequate to accomplish what you're trying to do. But
It's not, I tried that, Mickey. It wasn't.
what does everybody else have to say about this? Angus?
Well, I think the first time that we reviewed this, my concern was that there was too much program getting jammed into the second story. So it was really feeling forced with the shed dormers and the flush dormers, really creating room space. And that made it feel vertical. And now with the idea of it being raised and raised a lot, it exacerbates all my previous concerns.
Yeah, it is. It's getting pretty tall and thin. Lucy
yeah, I agree with what's been said.
and Brooke, are you still there?
Yeah, so my memory of when this came through is that we actually all liked the quirkiness of this building. That was my memory of it. And I definitely think that it worked when it was down near the ground, especially with that small addition forward. I think it helped hide some of the verticality of the rear mass. But I think adding that 4 feet of brick is probably not going to help anything. I know there are buildings around it that have that brick mass, but they're also of a noticeably different architecture than this structure. And I think that's kind of what I come back to when I look at this building. I mean, you've got Greek revivals that are formal masses that are up, but I don't see any small, like if there's a photo of like a small narrow building that's a similar style, I think that would help.
They're in the pictures. I don't know if you could go through them all, but they're in there. The first one was a really good example, but
Right, but
they're there all
that's-
over the place. Little guys.
yeah, but that's not as little as this. I know this building.
That one right there. And there's one, the very first one is the same.
Yeah,
So if you look at these from the side streets that some of these are on, they look just as narrow and just as high. And some of them are actually higher than we are. I don't know how these all got that way down there, but they did.
well,
But the-
I think 4 feet is a little too high. That's all. I mean, even 3 feet would be
Okay,
better than 4.
okay.
Yeah. Okay, Lucy, do you want to add something?
I would also like to add to that, if the lifting is approved, that reclaimed brick be used.
Yep, got that already.
Are there
Okay.
going to be window wells on the street?
This is the window that's facing the street, so I don't think that, and here's 2 on the side,
Just the
Okay.
sides for the most part,
back side, and
and the other, and the interior side.
here's a big one. Just off the street.
Yeah, they all have the grates over the top of them.
That's not shown here, isn't that right about here?
No, it's on that right side, Mickey.
This window well,
Yeah, that looks like it's in the courtyard, doesn't it?
I
Well,
think
it's
that's
going
just
away anyway.
improperly shown.
Yeah, it's already
It should
approved
be on the
there.
other elevation.
It's
Or
coming,
it
that's
should
coming
be
out.
flipped.
Yeah, flipped. I got it.
Yeah.
He's in
Uh,
Florida for 3 weeks.
yeah, I don't know. It's not shown anywhere. It looks to me like it's right here, right in front of
The
the
window
stair.
wells are on the right side where they're supposed to be, but it is in the picture. It's in the wrong place. We'll fix
Okay.
that.
Well, yeah, because here's that window right here.
Yep.
This is the previous approval, I guess. So anyway, all right. So we'll move on to the next application. Thank you, Linda.
Okay, thanks. I can't see the agenda. Is that it for me?
I'm pretty sure.
2 Stone
Yes.
Alley's not back on here again, right?
No,
No.
that's all you got. You're done.
So no 2 Stone Alley headache today?
No.
So we're gonna move on to
Thanks.
Academy Hill, which is not this one. This one, 12 Academy Hill. It's an addition, and the subsequent application is to demo the, or not to demo, but to add on to the garage. But the main house is right here. And they are proposing to add, you can see the as-built, which is up here on the right. They want to add an addition to this corner. This is, by the way, right on Westminster Street, so it's about as visible as it gets. It's right in this corner where they're adding on to. Here's the addition with a hipped roof, which is really my only complaint about this project is this hipped roof.
Have we reviewed this?
I don't, have we
It
seen this
looked
before?
Familiar, yeah.
Well,
I don't recognize, I mean, I know the building, but I don't recognize this.
I don't either.
Okay.
so my concerns are, this hipped roof, I think that should just be a simple shed roof. And what else did I say? I guess that was it.
What's the date of this house?
I
I think it's mid 1800s. It's a Greek
It is.
revival.
Yeah,
they have a survey.
I know, but it's not on the application. It just drives me crazy.
Yes. It's hard to find anything on these.
It belonged to Gibby Nickerson, the fisherman,
Oh,
Well,
one of our good old takeout fishermen.
so any other concerns from anybody else? Does anybody agree with me that this hipped roof may be kind of a little awkward? Why not just use a shed?
yeah, I think you're right.
Mickey, would you please go back to the floor plan?
Yeah, so what they're doing is they're wide, that's the second, no, this is, the basement.
Because this is the side of the house and it's so highly visible being on the corner,
Mhm.
I would much rather see the stairway be integrated where your arrow is in that corner and enter there, extending that. And I thought that was a good suggestion of yours, is just simply going with a shed roof rather than a hip, but extending that out enough to be able to get a stoop in that corner and enter there, as opposed to on the actual west face of the
Right on the street. basically.
yeah, it's just
Why not put it here?
right, and have the door go in from the south rather than from the west.
Yep.
It just feels like it looks like it's awkwardly sticking out and taking a dominance without, all the detail that should happen with something that is dominating the picture. It's the furthest projection out on that face.
Right. Prominence. Gotcha. I think that's a great idea. I mean, here they're removing a hip. So there was a hip on this building. And they're flattening it out. I mean, if they're doing it there, why not just do the same thing on the other side? Not sure why they're doing it there. Any other thoughts on this one?
Nope.
I agree with Angus about the stair, but I think that the hip is a great example of just the ad hoc architecture that might have happened along the way to create a space like that. So the hip doesn't really bother me, but I definitely agree with the stoop. And yep, that's it.
Okay. Oh, and they're removing this little window, but that's probably later. Which is probably fine. Okay. Next is 3 Beaver Street.
There's a little cottage.
Oh, the
garage.
little garage thing. You're right. So they want to convert this into a little cottage and put this door. I don't really mind this one. Anybody have any concerns with this one?
No,
Yeah, it's pretty simple, and I like the door. It's probably actually better than what's there now. Which is this.
I have
So,
no concerns about this one.
yeah, Angus, you're
Nope.
good with this? All right. Down to 3 Beaver. So
I lost you guys.
we still we see
We
you.
can hear
Brooke.
you, see you.
Sorry. I got it.
Where are you going to, Brock?
I'm out of here, man.
I've lost you guys.
Yeah, actually, hang on.
What was that?
It's my USB. I'm plugging into the Matrix.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
It's
Sounds
from
like
the
you're-
Simpsons. It's a Simpsons reference from way back.
Okay. Missed that one.
I have a question
Okay.
about this application. Is that a huge hot tub thing in the back?
It sure is. Yep. So Brooke, do you want
And
to make
it's
any
not
comments
gonna-
before you take off?
Yeah, what number of Beaver? Oh, I was talking about the garage at 9 Twin Street. Sorry about that.
No, Beaver Street.
All right, Beaver Street is, and we're talking about the fences, right?
Yes, fences in front. They're doing 2 driveways. This currently is not a driveway, but they'll probably be allowed to because this is now a separate, another one of those horrible subdivisions. So these are 2 separate properties.
Oh,
So the fencing around, they're using solid board fencing, which is what's obviously there now. It's the only one in the street with solid board fencing.
mhm.
Everything else is standard type 2 picket.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, we don't have to like it.
That's true. So I'll just quickly say what my quick thinking is. First of all, they're asking for Belgian block. And I looked on Google Street View, and there's a lot of Belgian block aprons on this street. But I still think it's worth noting that I don't think it's appropriate for a building of this age. Cobblestones or brick would be more appropriate. Also, they're showing Belgian block here, which off the front door and around the stoop, which is just
That's awful.
No,
just paving because they can pave. So I'm going to suggest that this should be brick at the bottom of the stoop. It's more, traditional and easier to walk on, and they don't need to pave this section in front of the new front stoop.
Yeah, brick and a step.
Brick and a step. A little bit of a concern, they're showing the AC condensers back here, but they're screening it in. But only with a 36-inch high fence. I got a feeling that's not really going to conceal condensers. I think that it's going to need to be taller. Condensers
Right.
tend to be about that high, and you're going to look over the top of the fence.
Are they raising
And-
this building?
What's that, Brooke?
Are they raising this building?
They're raising it 3 feet out of the ground.
Yeah, well, then those condensers are gonna be 3 feet out of the ground.
They're not. They're on the side. Where did I see that? Or is that the other building?
No, I think that this building was going to be lifted.
Yeah,
Because
but
of
why
the
wouldn't the
flood zone.
condensers be on the ground?
They're not doing it for flood purposes. We all know that because they're putting a basement in and they have mechanical equipment in the basement. So I don't think they need to raise the condensers.
Okay.
unless they have two stacked on top of each other.
No, it was just, I thought they were in a flood zone, so if they're not, then they don't have to put it.
They're not in a flood zone.
Okay, all right,
Oh,
strike that comment.
So in my last comment is that hot tubs and spas are not appropriate in the OHD. It's not visible, but I think we can say that anyway.
Definitely be.
We are turning down spas in the historic district like the one on 28
India.
India Street, because once you get one, everybody and their aunt is going to ask for a spa, and that's going to turn the whole downtown.
Mhm.
It's going to destroy it.
Good. So also, maybe you guys can know the answer to this. Once it's put in the town warrant and published, doesn't that put a freeze on putting in new spas for the time being?
I don't know. I mean, for all you know, that could be a turquoise spa too.
Okay. All right. So those are my comments. Anybody else want to add anything?
What about the cobble lawn?
Interesting comment. I know.
Just
it's really-
so much hardscaping.
Good point, Brooke.
Yeah,
Well, it has
and
to
they're
hurt.
talking about coastal resiliency. I mean, that's,
Yeah, that should be pervious, more pervious. I mean, cobblestones maybe,
Yeah.
but
The token patch of grass for walking the dog.
yes.
urban pooping.
So I
Why
agree
is
with
the
the
fe-
comments on about the front and the Belgian block.
Yes.
In front of the stoop, that should be planted or some sort of bed there.
Yes.
Yeah. And the fence is so out of character with all the other fences. Like you say, that's the only one on the street. And I mean, if they're having to come back for approval, and they're going to build new fences, why not just do what is everywhere else with the number 2 picket?
So I completely agree with that, Angus. The only problem with this whole thing now is that they've got these window wells on the front. And the board fence is going to hide those window wells better than the type 2 picket. So,
It's just horrible that those are there at all on the front of a
Yeah.
building right on the street.
yeah.
But I think that the fence just makes it even look junky. I mean, there's space between the fence, so you'll at night when there are lights coming from the windows, you're going to see that
Yeah.
between the gaps in the ugly board fence. It's just, I mean, all we can do is hope for the best with the bushes covering it.
What would you think about putting type 2 pickets on both sides of a fence. So it kind of staggers them and you don't see through quite as much. Does that look weird as you look at it from the street?
I think so. I mean, the beauty of the type 2 is just its elegance. It's so simple.
Yeah. And you can see through it actually to some degree.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I gotta go.
Night,
All
night.
right. Thanks, Brooke.
Thanks, Brooks.
Mickey, why do they have a 72-inch solid board fence going right down to the street on the left-hand side?
Uh-oh, I think I've lost it.
Yeah,
Okay, this is sorry. Should have done that. We're at the beginning. No, that's the end. Shit.
Somewhere in between.
Oh, here we go, Beaver. All right, what was that, Diane?
On the left-hand side, on the site plan, right there, they
Yeah.
have a 72-inch fence going right down to what's, I guess, going to be a driveway entrance, and it goes up and around 72 feet. Usually, on not we don't have a fence that large, that tall,
Yeah.
going down to the street. We stop it and back it up to where the house begins, so it doesn't run down to the street. And I think it should do that. It's I don't know. They've so destroyed this lot that it's hard, but I think that, and then it goes all the way around in the back,
Mhm.
and then you have the privet on the right-hand side. But that stretch of 72-inch high stuff is too much and too long for, I think.
Mhm.
It looks like it's 36 inches from that back fence at the back of the house to the street.
Well, it changes right here at the
Right
back
there.
of the house. Yeah. 36
In the
inches.
back of the
from
house,
street.
that's good.
The back of the
But is
house
this-
is surrounded by 72 inches, but toward this, within the driveway area is 36.
Yeah, that's when we usually break it. But is it a solid board? Or
Yeah.
is it going to match the fencing, whatever, in the front?
Which is solid board fencing, so it will match.
yeah.
That we're going to run that and then it's going up to 72 when you get back to the house. Is that right?
That's what they're asking for.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
it just doesn't look right.
Yeah. So 72 seems too high.
yeah,
I don't know, maybe this is, I don't know how tall this is. This looks like what's already there. Maybe it's not 72.
I don't know. We'll see when they come in that they specify what the different heights are of the fencing.
Okay.
Mickey,
Yep.
with all that's going on in this backyard,
Mhm.
we should really ask to see a lighting plan.
Yeah.
I mean, for all you know, there could be lights all over for the grill and the hot tub and whatever.
Well, there will be, you're right. It's an outdoor entertainment area. Cobblestone at that.
Well, that's more the reason they should have more grass to absorb noise.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Any other comments?
It's a shame that driveway is happening on both sides of this house.
Mhm.
I mean, it's one thing if it looks like the neighbor is using one and you're using the other, but for them to clearly be, driveway on either side, like there's no green space
Mhm.
visible on this house.
On either side. Well, it's the nature of these 81L things because now there's two owners and they need two driveways.
Looking at the back, what appears to be like an outdoor shower or something.
Yep.
You've got this ramp going up. Is that to get into the raised hot tub? Is that raised? Is that what's going on
Yeah.
here?
There's steps so you can climb into the hot tub. It's a above ground hot tub.
Hope
Okay.
it's going to be an old tub.
Um,
Yeah. And it's got this planter thing in front of it.
Okay, I mean, it just, we don't know how high that's gonna be.
No elevations of that I'm aware of. Yeah. No.
Ah, this whole project's so disappointing to see.
Yes. Okay, anything else? I'd like to move on. Let's go to Washington Street fencing by the land bank. Yeah, you all know where this is? This is the new bike path along the railroad bed. So
Yeah.
it's mostly visible from that bike path. And it looks like they want to do half of it in board fence. 100 feet of board fence along this property. And then split rail, I guess down here, 200 feet of split rail. A little return here, I guess, is more split rail. Anybody have any concerns with this one?
Yeah,
4-foot board fence, it's not that tall, but it's a lot of it. We okay with that?
Why wouldn't it all be split rail?
I don't know. I can only assume that maybe the neighbors wanted different things.
Because I mean, you can look over a 4-foot fence.
I know. I don't really know the answer to that. Maybe I mean, we could suggest it be all split rail. I mean, it would probably look better if it were.
well, there may be junk in the yard.
It seems like a wall in a way, because there's that, it's all the vegetation, then it's like a clearing, and then there's a wall. And
Yeah.
it just seems kind of awkward. And if there's some reason to do it, why wouldn't you do it for the whole length of it? So if to have split rail on either side, why is that, and why is it board in the middle?
So let's just ask the question, why not do split rail on the whole thing? I'm sure they have a reason, but let's just let's bring it up.
There's probably a pretty good reason. One's more expensive than the other by a long shot.
Sure. But so why do the board fence at all?
I don't know. I don't mind the combination. As
Well,
long
let's
as it's
just-
all unpainted.
Let's just throw the question. Yeah, it'll be unpainted.
Yeah.
But let's throw the question out there and just it's up to them. I think it says left to weather. Yeah. Okay, move on.
Yeah.
Mm.
To 11 Cliff Road. Speaking of fences. This is an as-built situation. They've already done this fence, so we can see what it looks like. Now they want permission to do it, and this gate is part of the application too. What's enlightening is this picture here showing the, I don't know what the date is, but it's an earlier, much earlier picture. So,
When did the electric lines come in?
yeah, I don't know. Turn of the century.
Yeah, it seems like early 1900s picture.
Yeah. So what are we thinking about this fence?
It doesn't look like the previous picture.
No, that's for sure.
Have we seen this before? It seemed like there was another gate that was an issue that was an as-built. Is this the same thing coming back, or was that someone else on Cliff Road?
It does feel a little familiar. I don't know if we've seen this before or not. I don't think they've asked for the fencing. The gates, they're they're attractive looking gates and stuff, but they're, it's totally different than what was there before. Much more imposing. Or estate-like.
Look, the old picture, the black and white, that's just a pedestrian gate, right? That's not a driveway.
Correct. There is no driveway. It appears to be, maybe it was over on the side and can't see it.
Mm.
But the hedge runs all the way through. It's an interesting way they did this hedge. It's sort of a board. It's like looks like a wood board framed edge to it with posts.
Yeah,
So, I went to Street View. You can see that there's a lot of picket fence in the neighborhood. The next property up, I don't think does have picket fence. I'm gonna look at that.
There's a fence like that, 43. Cliff.
43 Cliff, okay. Let me see if I can find it. Road. So I'm gonna start at the bottom of the road, go up. So it's a nice open yard here, that's nice. And then you start getting into a lot of picket on both sides. Most of the way up, or except for that. And then Street View still shows it the way it was. Right across the street is a lot of fence. This one has an interesting green cap to it. I don't know if it's still like that. And it's all open. The next property does show as hedges. So I don't know. Maybe
What
start-
about as you continue? Because it's sort of like you kind of get to a new place when you get to the plateau of Cliff, once you come up the hill.
Yeah,
So
Gets more,
picket and then that.
there's still a lot of picket on both sides. This one's open. Further down, real long stretch of picket here.
It seems like it's half picket and half hedge.
It's a mix. It's hard to say that it's not, there's certainly a lot of it. So it's hard to say that it's just not appropriate because of the neighborhood. It's a pretty distinctively big change to do this.
Well, it's a huge change. Everything is green and then it's all white.
Yeah. So, what do you want to say on this one? I am, what did I put here? I said the gate posts are much more substantial than the originals and should be reduced in scale. Surrounding the entire, so there's another fence too in the back, which we should talk about. What about this? Do we feel strongly one way or the other about this new picket fence?
It really bothers me that it just happened without asking about it. And it does change the feeling of it, but it's not out of character with the street.
Yeah, I commented on these posts because it's considerably different than the other old photograph.
It is, but the house has a lot of ornamentation to it that is kind of unusual, and therefore might justify the posts being a little bit fancier than usual.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't really mind them. I think they're nicely done. It's not badly done.
Yeah.
So I think maybe we could just leave off any comments on this one. But the back of the property is a pretty drastic thing.
Definitely a hand slapping for doing
Yeah.
it without permission.
Definitely. Okay, so here's the front, which we just talked about. In the back, they're proposing, it doesn't say here, but it's a 6 foot, where does it say? 6 foot board fence around the entire back. There's a decent sized lawn down there, which you can see right here. So the fence would close, this might be the neighbor's bins, but it would start around in here. And there's a gate somewhere around here. And then the fence continues all the way around through these trees or beside the trees.
Is there any precedent for that?
I don't think so.
Or a board fence?
Yeah, let's see what the application said. There, I think it's board fence.
Yeah, it's board.
6-foot plank fence. So I didn't like that. I don't think that's appropriate.
I mean, in the core, back in the day, you know, in the 1800s, it wasn't unusual to have these board fences because that was, people had their laundry and, you know, all kinds of projects going on in the backs of their houses. And that was really their only privacy. But, you know, we're a little bit out of town. And I just like, I would want to see examples of other board fences in the vicinity.
Yeah, I'd go a step further. I think this is just not, let me pull up the, I just
It
think
goes right down to North Ave.
it is, it's fronting right on North Ave. Where are we? Oh, back there. So here's North Ave. So the fence would go right along, that's their parking space, I think. And it would go right along this tree and enclose this big backyard.
Yeah.
And there's just there isn't anything like that on North Ave that I know of. I
No,
think it's out of character here.
even the
that's-
hotel comes down there on the right-hand side, but we made it fit in, you know, with the area.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to find a precedent for a 6-foot board fence in this area.
What would you feel about natural to weather picket?
Down here,
Yeah,
I think a picket fence is fine. Maybe it's almost too formal for down there or something, but I'm okay with anything except a 6-foot tall fence.
yeah, I thought natural to weather picket down there.
Yeah. So I basically, I just said surrounding the entire back of the property with a 6-foot board fence is not appropriate. Let them decide
Good.
what else they can choose. All right. Next we have 57 Union Street, like kind window replacement. So that's right here. Replace every window in the house with reproduction plank frame. Replace partial with plank frame, partial with same this existing. Replace all windows with same as existing, replace partial. So my impression is they're replacing every window in the house.
Is there a date on the house?
Well, it's an old one. I don't think that we were given that information, although here is some historical stuff. It's the old Warren Krebs place.
It's Krebs. It's the left-hand one as you start going up York Street.
Yeah.
1793,
1893?
1793.
1793.
Right.
It's an old one.
Yeah, I went down and looked at that, and the windows that are in there now
Yeah.
look fine to me.
Really?
I don't know how they, pardon?
Are they old windows or are they?
Yeah. See, that's the question.
I don't know. But I mean, if I were the homeowner, I'd be very happy to have those windows in as they stand now, just with a little paint.
Yeah. I mean, they're showing, you're right. A lot of them look perfectly fine.
Yeah,
And, you know, generally we don't really care if they want to replace 1980s Broscos with better windows. We don't really care about that, but we don't want them ripping out original old windows.
Or even replacement windows that are from 1800.
Yeah, true.
And are they TDLs?
Well, what did she actually say?
I believe they are. I deleted my photographs by mistake.
She didn't actually say anything about that. Boston Sash, Nantucket Carpentry, Inc. So they need to be TDLs. I think I said something to that effect. Okay, so I said some windows appear to be new with vinyl jambs or spiral balances and can be replaced. A full window survey needs to be done to indicate the age of all the windows before approving full replacement. All new windows should be TDLs. We just
Right.
don't have enough information on all these different windows to comment, individually.
And no substitute until windows become available.
Yeah,
Right, it's gonna be a while. Anything else to add to this one?
No, I think it's good to ask for the window survey.
Yeah, I mean, they have some issues here, and who knows how old those are.
I mean, you would think that people would look at these examples of all these new windows that need to be replaced. It's simply that the quality is not what the old windows are and were.
Absolutely. Yeah,
well, they're not looking, they're just listening to their contractor.
yeah, let's replace. Okay, next is this major renovation back up on the cliff.
That's the Queen Mary,
Mary?
huge.
It is. It is. It
You
is.
mean come ashore?
Yeah,
So this is an interesting building because you really don't see much of it from the street, at least. You got this garage in front of it, which of course they want to remove the garage and replace it with something different. And they also want to bust through, I guess, this hedge and put a driveway in. Yeah, so they have
Okay.
this driveway here. I don't think they're going to be allowed to do two driveways, so that'll be different.
Are we assuming that that would just get closed in on the front and the driveway would then be moved, the curb cut would be moved to where it's shown in this plan?
Well, it doesn't indicate, I mean, it's still showing a couple dashed lines here. It doesn't indicate the material of a driveway like that is. But when you look at the proposed elevation facing the street, they're showing a garage door facing that direction. So this is the new replacement look toward the street.
There's a weird shingle formation to the right of the door. It's almost like a sliding door that's made out of shingle. What is that?
That's
The
what
dash-
it is.
Yeah, it's a dashed line and it may be a sliding panel to the floor plan. We'd like to see they should be showing the hardware to do that. Yeah, it's a sliding.
So is that like a shingle flare for the hanging?
Oh, concealing the track, perhaps? Yeah. See if I can find it again. It's not in the right spot. Oh, no, I'm sorry.
that's just an access door to the side of the garage.
It is. What I said about this one, and there's a few comments, but first of all, what is the age of the house? I went back to the Sanborn maps and it looks like this thing existed as far back as about 1904, 1908. So it's a pretty old house. I also said, which you can see up here, it has 6/1 windows and they're changing them all to 2/2s. I said we prefer the 6/1 windows. The chimneys should remain. They're removing every chimney there is. The facade facing the cliff, which is right here again, is too utilitarian looking. It should have a more appealing presence facing the street. Enlarging the garage to this degree makes it feel like a cottage, which should have a front door. The garage door may be unnecessary if the garage is accessed from the side, which it basically is. So why even have this thing?
Yeah,
And how do you have a roof walk on a house that's 2 over 2?
Yeah. Well, it looks like the roof walk was, yeah, right. Well, it was there as when it was a 6 over 1s, but yeah, if they changed it to 2 over 2s, that's a little, I don't know. Is that incongruous? It probably is.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I think with the length of the house, the original scalloping at the bottom of the roof walk skirt
Mhm.
sort of breaks up the long lines.
I like that.
Yeah,
So, that's not,
And they're
go ahead,
trying to
Diane.
take they're trying to take the chimneys out again.
Yep.
Since when do we allow a garage on the on the front facade of a building not set way back?
Hear
Well,
you, hear you.
yeah, I'm sure we shouldn't allow it today, but it is existing as a garage.
But at a much smaller scale.
Yes. Yeah, I went down on Street View up and down the street here, looking at the outbuildings. And most of them are, there are some quite close to the street, right on it, in fact, sometimes. They're generally small scale. None of them are hipped. They're gables, which gives them a little bit stronger presence. And 1 or 2 of them were 1.5 stories, a little higher plate than you get here. So the scale is, there's some precedence for this scale. I just don't think it feels right to have the garage of this size. It's no longer feels like a garage. It's like a cottage.
It's an unusual sighting. Some of those places along Cliff that we've looked at have been like that, where it's a long train of a house, so you go alongside it, rather than having a real street facade. But this scale is oversized.
Mhm.
I don't mind the entry changing to the side from the
Mhm.
front, but I think it gets really awkward when it's the front and the side.
Yeah. So there's a few other small projections. This gable is pulling forward. There's a similar deal on the other side, projecting out in the opposite direction. The roofs, they're adding these little balconies to what used to be just simple hipped roofs. I guess they got rid of one on the front here, this balcony. This is not a highly visible building. I went down on North Beach Street and looked back up in this direction, and you'll see it, but it's pretty far away. It's not like you're going to pick out the details and think it's awful. And it's not awful, it's just different. So here was that balcony and some doors. They're changing that to just a gable. My concern was mostly regarding the view that we'll see pretty heavily, which is this one.
Yeah, and I completely agree with the switch to the 2/2s. And that really gets amplified with the other fenestration that they're proposing with the doors and so forth,
Mhm.
where the lights get really long.
Yeah, then the doors, I don't know, French doors to look like 2/2 windows doesn't make sense to me. When they do doors, I'm not sure I've ever seen French doors, old traditional French doors that look like that.
And in this view, in this southeastern elevation, that gable forward with the front door, those windows should get pulled away from the door.
I just don't
Yeah.
think you're going to see this, Angus. I didn't
Yeah.
really want to comment on all these little details because I just don't think you're going to see them. Because I'm sure we could come up with a pretty good list of little quirks that we don't like. But I just don't think you're going to see it. Just the-
One thing that I do think you would see is, I mean, what is happening with that token roof in front of that, that front door gable?
Token room. Back here.
Yeah, above the front door. What's that?
Well, this is coming, oh yeah, this used to be, so this is projecting out, used to be sort of a latticed thing. And from
But in the
this-
proposed, see, it's just like enough for a gutter and a fascia. Right
Mm.
there.
Oh, here, why having a roof go through there?
Yeah,
Side view of it.
that seems like that would want to be a porch, and I would imagine that that's something you're going to look up the driveway and see.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna actually see the profile of that because of, I bet you this is that edge of that gable right here. It's kind of hidden from our view.
Oh, it looked like in the plan view, you could sort of look up the driveway to it, but
Yeah, actually, you're right. When this is opened up to become a driveway, that'll open up the view of this section.
but do you see what I mean? Look at the roofs on either side of that gable. They don't go any further than the gable. So what
Yeah,
is that thing going across the front? And if it's really nothing, that's a pretty high gable with nothing going on.
yeah, right. And it's projected, looks like it's probably projecting over the door to create a roof.
I don't think, yeah, I don't think that's represented the right way.
Yeah. All right, let's say it's south.
And the additive massing. I wonder how long that eve is. With the
Mhm.
innocuous front door.
So I'm saying the south elevation will be more visible once the driveway's put in.
Right.
And the front door relative to the porch running through, I'll phrase that differently, but that needs some attention. All right, that's good, Angus. Yeah, because that does change your appearance, your visibility. Any other concerns with this one?
Yeah,
All right. All right, let's go on to, where are we? Oh, so the next application was the demo of the garage. And I just said, what is the age of the garage? We don't know anything about it.
that was my first question.
Mhm,
It looks like it could be from the 20s.
it does. Wouldn't be surprised. So there's no Sanborn discussion. Did he say anything here? I don't. I think all we can do is ask the question. All right,
Does Rita have any information on this?
Rita.
I don't, but I will see what I can uncover.
Thanks. Yeah, it's a sweet little building.
Yeah, I
And if
know.
it's 80 or 100 years old, that just, what a waste.
Yep. Okay, the next one is. What did I put this on?
Free cherry.
Yeah. is that 3 Cherry. Here we go. Some basement windows. I don't think this was a big visibility concern or even a concern anyway. Not real clear what's going on here.
Huh.
I just felt like probably not a big concern. It's not like it's an old building, I don't think. It's a new foundation. Everything here looks pretty new. Probably not terribly visible. But there's no information about what the windows are.
Yeah,
So I just said no concerns, but the size and style of window should be identified.
Like every application, there should be floor plans and elevations.
I know.
We will require it.
Yeah, you should.
Please just hold for, further documentation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be understandable if this was done by the homeowner, but it's not. The application is by NAG.
This is nag.
Yeah.
They should know. The window well and window. No real information. Unless we just don't have it, but how about on the application? Nothing specific here. Anderson's SDLs. Okay. Next is 8 Holbert. Which is right here.
No, Mickey, we have so many applications today that don't have the date of the building on the filled out. It's like, we've gone through this before.
They're not supposed to be accepted anymore at the desk, but they do get in.
I know,
It's
it's
a
like, and it's, and it's people who are professionals that are submitting these applications. I mean, it's like, come on, there's no excuse.
Well, I know, but I don't think this is an old building unless somebody knows differently. I mean, it may be, but it's really been messed around with a lot. It is.
Isn't it?
My concerns on this one were, first, they're removing the chimney, obviously.
Again,
Right. And granted, it's a pretty awkward big chimney, but still, the house needs a chimney. And I just said the roof walk should be smaller because it looks like a pretty domineering roof walk. It's a little long this way, and it's 8 feet 4 inches this way, which is just a little bit wider than I would normally want to see it. It makes the legs, it's a 12 pitch, so the legs get pretty long on a wider roof walk.
So something like 7 feet maximum width.
Yeah, I mean, look at how long these kind of stick down longer
Yeah,
than the top.
So awkward on a steep roof like that. It's better on an 8 or 9 pitch.
Yeah. So let's say 7 foot wide. roof walk.
And it's really weird for them to be sitting on a ridge. I would straddle that roof evenly and scoot that
Right here.
off the ridge, yeah. See, it looks like there's more room on the right than the left.
Does it? I can't tell. So you're saying shift the whole roof walk to the left, Angus?
Yeah,
Just to make it asymmetrical? We didn't like that on last week's application.
no, right now it's asymmetrical. If it scoots over to the left, so there's the same amount on the left and the right, it would take the post off the ridge.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Get the post off the ridge. More.
I'm consistent.
Okay, that's all I wanted to hear. Okay. Any other concerns? They're also doing, I think they're changing the French door.
they're replacing all the doors and windows.
Are they? Okay, yeah. Figures.
Yeah, good luck.
I know, right. So I don't mind the front door change. I think that's actually positive. I wish they'd keep these French doors, but I just didn't want to get into it. And does anybody want to comment on anything else? We're putting an addition on the back.
The style of the door on the front, I mean, I remember when balconies just were never allowed on, definitely not on the front of a building,
I know.
but here we are, and those panes just seem so long. I would split that into a 6 light instead of 4 light.
Yeah,
I mean, if this were like high Victorian and there were all the ornamentation that goes with it, it'd be one thing, but that seems like literally
Yeah.
a stretch.
And they're really, really narrow. It's because of the narrowness that it's so awkward, probably. I might add, as long as they're changing this front door, why not put a decent door surround?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does look underwhelming.
Yeah. All right.
Johnny McGoffin will never let that stay as the front door. You can be sure.
You're right. Too much glass.
Well, I mean, what's the point? Really, I mean, he's got a point there because you've got a window right there. So if you really wanted to look in the house while you were at the front door, you just peek in.
Mhm. So here's one of these situations where they're proposing skirting in the back, but not on the front. And you can see that right here. Do we care?
Why?
Why?
They're probably hiding a Bilco hatch, one of those vertical hatches.
I'd prefer for it to be consistent. I think it's weird when you sort of get a view of the house and it looks one way and you go another and it looks another way.
Well,
And if their concern is the hatch, sometimes I've seen like with natural boarding to sort of board around the scuttle underneath the deck. But it kind of is what it is. Like it's a hatch that reaches to the deck. So, you see it, there it is.
would you be okay with them skirting the front of the roof walk? I mean, I might actually think that would be preferable. It's not like it's a really old building that you wouldn't want to see a skirt.
I don't think that's a bad idea, especially in light of the long legs and the steep roof. It just looks spindly.
So you're agreeing that maybe they should have a skirt?
Yeah. I'm agreeing that it should be, well, I think it should be consistent.
Yeah.
But should the skirt be painted or white?
Natural.
Right? No. Yes,
I'd go natural, right?
natural, yeah.
Okay. Got it. All right. Next is Fort Swain. That was a shingle change. This was kind of a pretty non-issue here. They just want to go to architecturals, change from 3-tab to architecturals, but I don't think it's a building we're going to care too much about.
Where is it?
Swain Street. It's in our zone.
Is there a
Yeah,
locus?
Walsh,
Walsh.
Swain.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, in Sconset Advisory today, we had another application for architectural shingles, like right in the core, like 2 houses away from the pump. And Diane, I'm glad this came up. Diane, I'm curious, has the HDC arbitrarily changed their attitude about the acceptability of architectural shingles in the core district of Sconset and town?
No, they have not. Occasionally, they will go along with the architecturals because people have put architecturals up without coming to us and stuff. But our first thing is the 3-tab in those 2 districts.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Thank you, because I've been seeing more applications both in Sconset and town, and it just is out of character.
TR, what is the TR roofing? He's applying everywhere.
Well,
Everywhere.
I think I've seen pretty recently the HDC going back to 3-tabs on applications where they're trying to change. So I think that's a nice sign that they're actually listening to us a little bit.
Good.
Yeah, we just did an old one in Sconset last meeting, I think, where they wanted to put 3-tab and it was it was sort of a greeny roof. It's that house was sort of the greeny roof. And we kept the 3 tabs.
Good,
So
thank you.
I personally prefer in the old historic district, 3 tabs.
Yeah,
Same here.
we do too. But do we consider this a concern to do this one in architecturals?
It's a little bit further out and it's less formal atmosphere and it's a new building, so if it's not going to, create a demise for 3 tab as you get closer into the core, I don't have an issue with it.
I don't think it's gonna, I think there's a distinction between this building and the ones we're looking at right downtown. So I'm okay with this one.
Right. I think this used to be a place for the workers to live from the White Elephant.
The dormitory
Yeah,
could be. Okay. Now we're going to, on the agenda is 2 Harbor Square, but we don't have an application for 2 Harbor Square. And we already did 9 Twin Street, so let's go down to 71 North Liberty. Which is not that, not that, not that. This. So 71 North Liberty, that's backs up to Coffin Park. And is this it? Something doesn't look right. But anyway, this must 71. This is it. This little building here. Long, narrow building. This is the one that they did that little pond or pool in the back.
Yeah. What's proposed?
So it's just a sort of a side, it's a little bit of a quirky little side addition. I didn't mind this one because it's kind of a character. This faces the street. I kind of like to see pictures, but this is the existing building, that long narrow thing, and just a sort of a small, connected gable. This didn't. I didn't mind this, considering it's stepped back pretty far too, or I think so. Yeah, it's set back off the street. You'll see this from the back, but it's kind of consistent with the original building.
Are those solar panels? What's going on with the roof?
Right here,
Yeah.
could be facing east. I don't know.
It's usually south and west, right?
Usually. And okay, here's a picture. It's down there somewhere. And here it is, up close. Not a high visibility project. Any concerns?
No.
Lucy, do you have any concerns?
No, I don't.
All right. That's what I thought. All right, so this one we've seen a number of times, 32 North Liberty. Replicate chimney. You know where this is? It's on that curve on North Liberty. We've looked at this 1,000 times for various things, and I guess they just want to remove the chimney, replicate it for whatever reason. I'm sure they're removing the fireplace too. Nice big open space. So I guess they're going to replace it, and do they even say with what? Replicate existing chimney like kind. Oh, and there's some relocated windows. Oops. Red brick.
What is this chimney from anyway? It doesn't look like an 1840 chimney, is it?
Well, I'm trying to get to it. Oh, there we go. Not really.
Certainly the top of it doesn't look like it.
No.
Mm-mm.
So I basically said I didn't have any real concerns with this one.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to see the loss of chimneys, but that one, I could be wrong, but that one doesn't look like an old one.
No, these bricks aren't that old.
But maybe that was rebuilt and the chimney mass is old, but it's, you know, it's gone now.
Mhm.
I think the whole thing is a shell now.
Yeah.
And that didn't work in the floor plan. Yeah.
Yeah, here's an old picture of the chimney. Oops, go back.
Yeah, it's certainly a different
Yeah,
top.
it's not the same chimney. Even the proportions are different.
Well, if they're gonna rebuild the chimney, even if it's just from the roof up, it should look like that. I
Yeah,
think.
you want to have it replicate the original.
Yeah,
Yeah, and definitely have the flashing exposed, to have these facades just go down, you know, faux chimneys go down to the roof with no flashing is such a red flag.
Yeah. Should replicate original chimney, including LED flashing. Okay, so the windows. Where do they do windows? Yeah, you can see they're replicating the existing one, which why bother? All right, so they're changing these. This is actually probably a good thing. They're separating these two windows. That seemed fine.
Yeah.
And what else? Chimney, I think that was literally those two windows. Yeah.
Oh, the lines of that gambrel are like nails on a chalkboard every time I see them.
I know. Good. All right.
no,
Okay. Right. Joe's coming up. Okay. Sorry, Joe. All right. Okay. Next is 32. No, we just did that. So the last one is 9 Sherburne. And Joe is just joining us. So let's talk about the main house first. Joe, are you here?
Yes, sorry.
That's all right. I didn't see you on the waiting list and just got you in.
That's all right. I was in earlier and then no one signed me in, so I thought we missed the meeting, so I apologize.
sorry, I was slacking.
That's all right. No, it's Monday. Let's just leave it at that.
That's right.
Um,
So Joe, let me pull up this site plan so we can all see where this building is. It's on Sherburne Way, which is off of Sherburne.
correct.
This looks like the driveway, but I guess it's part of the way.
It is, right, there's two driveways. Our client is at. Now, thank you. Our client is at 15 Sherburne Way, and they own 11 Sherburne Way, and they demolished 11 Sherburne Way, and now they want to demolish this house and create a dog park. The gambrel to the right, if you go back one more photo,
It's 3 o'clock.
Okay.
at 9 Sherburne Turnpike. That house, we will be back, and that will be located off Surfside Road. But for now, our intent, we've reached out to Ann Cuspa, we've reached out to the building inspector, we've advertised it, and no one is interested in taking the house.
So this right here is the way you're talking about, this one.
So that's the gambrel that would be moved to
Yep.
Surfside Road.
And this one's already gone.
That's a Botticelli and Pole project, that's gone. At 9, we just are going to, like 11, make a dog park, open space.
And there's a new building going in here.
Correct.
All right. Any comment, anything you want to tell us about this old house?
I mean, we tried to save it. We tried to give it away for the last, when I met me with them, October. We've reached out to everyone that we knew or was interested, and no one, it's a lot of pieces, a lot of different additions. But in the end, we were hoping that Ann Cuspa, Housing Nantucket, would take the house, but sadly, they just let us know that it's too large for them, and then by the time they took it apart, it wouldn't work for them. So,
So, what do you know about the history of this place? Did you give us any historical information?
oh yeah, so I think we gave like 50, 60 pages of the history of the building. Holly, we gave that to you. Did you review that?
Holly's not on.
Ollie's
Oh,
not,
sorry.
she doesn't do IT.
Yeah, so sorry. Yeah, we did a very extensive history of the structure. But yeah, in the end, we would
Can you tell us the age of it and the history of, like, there's obviously some evolution here going on.
hold on, let me see if I can get the information up.
Fun.
Hang on. So in 1923 and 1949, the Sanborn map showed the lots as vacant. And then the Chimney family owned the property for 45 years and had done multiple renovations to the project, the property. So it's really just gone over an iteration, from one piece to another piece, and then awkward additions off to the front with a sunroom. But in the end, they really didn't do a lot of maintenance to it. I would say that the main mast, the gambrel, is really the historic part that we would be looking at. So that was 1949. But all the rest of additions were very narrow type bedrooms, hallways, 1970s plumbing is in that rear L closest to us coming towards the turnpike, Sherburne Turnpike.
Yeah.
So
Is this like a negative mass here? Is this a big overhang?
on the where
This,
yes.
sorry. Because you see from when you look at this end of it, you see this looks like a shaded area. So this must be,
Well, yeah, part of it is that awkward sunroom, and they tried to get a covered porch. So that's where they came in, and it's a 1.5 pitch. It's very flat. I mean, if you go back to last elevation, you could see how awkward it was done. And pre-HDC, not pre-HDC, but I don't think there was a lot of thoughtful planning onto that sunroom addition. It's lovely, it's sunny, but it doesn't work with the architecture. I think it was, 1 August, hey, we want a sunroom, and the contractor said, we'll do that, and came back, and by the summer it was there. But it just, as you can see it, the massing, and it doesn't really, it's not integrated into the existing structure.
it's got some character.
It has some awkward character, yes, it does.
All right, Angus, Lucy.
Yeah, I mean, there is history to it, but it sounds like, the most amount of history would be like 60 years, but I don't know how we've gotten to a state where we can just throw houses away. I'm sorry.
Maybe you could sell the windows.
We are trying to get, and we have done it on several houses, that the owner or who's ever in charge lets people in and remove workable things like the windows and the doors and all that stuff, so they don't get trashed. And we're trying to set up a place eventually where it will be stored, that will be available to people for the wood and everything like that. We're trying to work on that right now.
And sorry to interrupt you, but there is two people now that are gonna go in and remove 2 custom corner cabinets, and then there's a funky copper sink that someone wants to salvage. But yeah, we're fine with that. I don't like coming forward and asking for a demolition. But they just want more open space, which is nice. But I don't think it's a lot to save in the structure, but I do think there's some fun little trinkets or pieces of history that we could salvage and save.
You know, I'm really partial to these old vintage summer cottages, you know, like Brant Point. It's a classic old summer cottage. I don't know if it's open studded inside or if they've covered that up, but it's, you know, I just think these are dying breed, unfortunately, and I just hate seeing them completely torn down. I think it's just a crime that we feel that it's, you know, we're okay with erasing these really vintage pieces of our island history. And I'm not at all in favor of demolishing this building. I mean, I could, you know, if I knew a little bit more about the history, you know, maybe this wing to the south is maybe relatively new. But I think, you know, and then if you look at just this piece, that's really not that big a building. I mean, why? Maybe you can move it, maybe you can just put it somewhere else on the property so it's not in their way. I'll bet they could happily reuse it, give them more space. But I just don't think it's appropriate that the town allows an owner to come along, a new owner, and just tear stuff down.
I agree with you. I agree with.
So
How many Sears Roebuck houses do we have left? That in 1980 we had several,
yeah,
and they've
Yeah,
all gone.
I'm sure of that.
Yeah, so Mickey, we gave a packet that Brenda just let me know that's about 300 pages. So it gives both properties, the history, all the information, it's all in there. So I don't know why it's not before you all. I think it would have traveled with it, the application. So
Yeah, no, maybe it's a different link. I think I clicked on both. There was 2 on the view list, as I recall, and the other is the garage.
yeah, they're all, Esmeralda has all the information. So we thought that it would have been all together because we submitted them all at the same time.
Yeah. Well, as I said, I am not happy about demolishing this building or other buildings of this age, just because we think they're in the way. We want open space because we can design a better building. There's all kinds of reasons why people are asking to tear buildings down these days. And I don't think it's appropriate. I think we should be working with the old architecture and modifying it, fine, but tearing it down, completely erasing it, I just think that's a big mistake. I think it's wrong.
Goodbye to history.
Any Lucy, do you have any comments?
Well, I'm the wrong person to ask because I love old buildings.
Well, then you're the right person to ask.
Well,
Angus?
I just agree with everything you said. It's, yeah, I just don't know how we've gotten to it. I got into this place where we can buy something that has a lot more history than the person buying it and then just get rid of it. And
Yeah.
it's unfortunate.
Yeah, and I kind of reiterated that it's the HGC's job, this came up with 31 Easy, it's the HGC's job to protect and preserve historic structures like this one. This building is a classic Cliff area summer cottage and should absolutely not be demolished.
I mean, there's so many places to walk a dog on Nantucket. What this seems like is clearing a lot for the next project.
It sort of smells like that, but can't really.
So she bought 11. My clients bought 11. They've knocked on the house. It's a dog park. It's green space. She just wants open green space. I mean, I understand the history of the building. I'm the same ilk. When I worked for Howard Gillamy, we used to renovate and restore houses. That's not my MO, as you guys have not seen me come up.
Yeah.
The house I knocked down at Codfish Park was a 2014, and I did everything under the sun trying to remove it. So my client, yeah, they just want green space. And I understand it. We've asked everyone under the sun. Sally Walter Gwacky doesn't have property to take something like this, or there isn't land available, or housing Nantucket didn't want it. I don't know what to tell you.
I know. Well, I know it's not you, it's your client. But still. All right, I think we've said it all.
So basically, if you buy a property with an old house on it, be prepared to have to keep it.
You should be, although the HDC's, I was just trying to remember when the last time the HDC denied a demolition application, and I couldn't remember when that was.
I remember.
Yeah. It's been a long time if they ever have.
Yeah.
So, all right. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. So I think that's it on the agenda, guys. Ladies. Any other comments? Anything else? Oh, I was asked to write a letter to the HGC, to Ray in particular, commenting about remote participation. And I'm happy to, I wrote something, I'm happy to read it to you and edit it and send it off. Do you want to listen to it?
Thanks,
Sure.
Ricky.
So I said, hi, Ray, as we all know, the rules regarding remote meetings may be changing soon. Hopefully we will still be permitted to have remote participation in some form. So far, the hybrid model of remote participation seems to be the preferred method of allowing participants and even board members to participate while holding in-person meetings. We at HSAB are hoping that the HTC will continue to allow remote participation. It is important to get back to in-person meetings, but we feel it would be a step backward to lose this very valuable meeting tool. We all know the advantages, but I'm listing a few. Applicants and consultants can participate without a costly trip to the island. Owners and neighbors who are often not on the island can attend or just watch. And board members who might have difficulty getting to the meeting can participate. Thanks very much, Mickey. So, want to add anything to that?
I
Sounds good.
think it's perfect.
Good.
I have talked to Erica at the town meeting, because when first started the hybrid type of thing, first thing, I was told I could not sit as vice chair because I wasn't there. Now they've changed it, so obviously they have said you can sit if you are acting as vice chair or chair. And she had no answer to me when I asked her why. Originally, I was refused the ability to do that, and they've done it. She said, well, this all may go away on the 15th of July.
Yep.
However, I have talked to Paul Durensis' office to see, since he sits on the governor's board, to see what it feels like, and I've written a letter to both our representatives to say that we heartily back the hybrid thing.
Oh, good.
Representatives, it would be a big help because they're going to decide, so we can get it in before he makes a decision.
Mhm. Good.
It-
Well, I'm glad to
it's-
hear that there's, that's, and I think most people would agree, although I know everybody does kind of want to get back to in-person board meetings, and that's fine. But just to let the rest of us attend, remotely.
I don't see how they can,
Right.
I don't see how they can require in person for a lot of these meetings when the technology exists, because couldn't it be considered, you're not having the meeting handicap accessible?
Sort of almost discriminatory.
Yeah,
I don't know. Well, as long as they're, I would agree. I agree with you, Lucy. I'm not sure if it's discriminatory because they are treating everybody the same. Although it's much more difficult for the disabled to get to a meeting across town.
exactly.
Diane, are you going to be able to attend the meetings?
At the moment, the handicap taxi that I use is Val's. And it has not been in service since December at all. So I had to go out twice and I had to have the EMTs come and get me.
Hmm.
If the taxi came back, it would cost me $20 a night to go.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
that would be $40 a week to go to both the Thursday and Tuesday, not to mention attending you guys and the other ones. So
Right.
at the moment that they don't have the thing, there should be a handicapped taxi that can take people. I am a duly elected person, not appointed. I'm elected,
Mhm.
and they can't just wipe me out.
That's right.
I agree.
We
Well,
have
I
the
will.
CP. Yeah, I was just gonna say CPC meeting is sometimes a very short, 11 minutes. There are 7 members. So 7 members had to go somewhere, park, attend a meeting, unpark. They have to have a place to meet and otherwise we meet on Zoom and it's over and done with quickly. And they want to use the trailer, which we have told them to remove, as you know.
Mhm.
And Erica told me the other day, they have 465 days to remove it. And that 465 days comes to an end in December. And I just wonder if they're going to ask again, oh, you have to let us do it. But they can meet behind the police station just as well as they can meet there. So
Mhm.
I think that we have people who are in North Carolina and South Carolina that are working with us on the flooding of the harbor and all that jazz. We can't afford, how much does it cost to have Lynn come up to go to a 2-hour meeting when we can spend 2 hours with her on Zoom? It makes no sense, and it makes it expensive beyond our control to have people come if they do come.
Well,
So
not to
that's-
mention,
Yeah.
the environmental reasons of, keeping the cars off the roads.
Right.
right.
Yep.
So if you guys can write to those representatives as individuals and the letter to Ray as a group, I think it would be great.
Well, I think that's a great idea. I mean, I'll definitely send this letter off to Ray. And I think it would be good for all of us to write to our reps. That's what they're there for.
Right. He
Um,
said he was working on it, so
Good.
this would certainly remind him.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll get this out to Ray later on today. And I guess that should do it. Any other business anybody wants to talk about?
Nikki, could you send us a copy of the letter so that we can
Yeah.
send it off to Dylan and Sear?
Sure, I will, when I send it to Ray, I'll copy everybody on it when I do that.
Thank you.
So Lucy, can I have a motion to accept the comments?
Yes,
Angus, all those in favor?
yes,
Aye. And motion to adjourn,
yes,
Second.
all those in favor? Aye.
yes.
All right, thank you, guys.
All right.
Thanks, Lucy. Good to see you, Diane.
All right, see ya.
Thank you guys very much for putting in all the time you do.
Well,
Thank
thank you,
you.
Diane.
You put in a lot more, thank you.
Yeah.
See ya.